...2023 has not been the best year for the shark horror movie subgenre. We got The Meg 2, but it was a huge disappointment that seemed more like a buddy cop movie than anything else. We got The Black Demon, which looked promising, but it took itself way too seriously and ended up being a poorly CGI'd cringy flop. Then, in November 2023, a group of independent filmmakers rose to the challenge and created an epic shark horror movie that swept under everyone's radar. Welcome to Rotten Damians. Today we are discussing Deep Fear, 2023's defining shark horror film. Deep Fear is unlike any shark horror movie I've ever seen. Firstly, the movie is an incredibly slow burn where the first shark attack is more than 30 minutes into the movie. Deep Fear took a page from Johannes Roberts, where it chose to focus on character development and story, rather than random gory kills. I commend them for this because although the body count is low, when someone is eaten, it feels a lot more impactful because we know who they are. Secondly, the sharks are not the main focus of this movie. They simply enhance the situation. The main focus are the smugglers who steal Naomi's boat and force her to dive in shark-infested water to fetch their product. But more on this later. These two aspects make for an incredibly unique, cinematic and suspenseful movie. Deep Fear is far from perfect and I'm a little disappointed that it's the best shark horror movie of the year, but it's good enough. The movie begins when we enter a stormy ocean. A boat has capsized and a family are bobbing around in the choppy water like a rubber duck in a bathtub. A father helps his daughter into a life raft before he zips her up. He tells her that he'll be right back. He's just going to fetch their mother. But he lies. He never makes it back. We later find out that this is a memory from our protagonist Naomi. She was involved in this boating accident and it cost her the life of her family. She ended up floating in this raft until she was found. Naomi wakes up from her stormy nightmare due to a phone call from her boyfriend, Jackson. And holy f***, it's Chuck Bass. What is he doing here? I guess a big city life in Manhattan just wasn't for him. XOXO Gossip Girl. Jackson is calling to see if Naomi is ready for a big trip. Today she is leaving on a 3-day solo sailing trip from the Caribbean to Grenda, where she will meet her boyfriend and best friend Barney. The sailing trip is also sentimental because it is the anniversary of her family's passing, which we saw in the opening scene. Naomi sets sail and everything is smooth sailing. See what I did there? Jackson and her friend Barney are tracking her during the journey to ensure that she is safe, but they see that there is a huge storm coming her way, so she has to go off course into open waters to avoid it. Out in the open water, Naomi finds 2 survivors hanging onto a capsized ship and screaming for help. Can you imagine their little legs flailing around under the water? It makes me think of this one TikTok I saw. Naomi makes her way over to the 2 survivors and brings them aboard. Once they're settled and warming up, Maria tells us that there was an explosion causing the boat to sink and that her brother Jose is still alive inside of the wreckage, breathing via an air pocket. Naomi agrees to suit up and go diving to save her brother, and the other male survivor agrees to tag along. The 2 of them quickly find Jose, put an oxygen mask on him and begin their ascent back to the main boat. But before they can leave, they spot a school of hungry great white sharks circling them. Honestly, I was really impressed with the CGI of the sharks. They look incredibly realistic with their movements and blend into the environment. This is not what you normally see in an independent shark horror film. I mean, hell, it's even better than some blockbusters. The other male survivor thinks the coast is clear and wanting to be a hero, he begins his ascent first. He is quickly eaten by the shark and we have our first shark attack, a mere 36 minutes into the movie. Unfortunately, the attack happens off screen. Look, you're either going to love the lack of body count and character development in this movie, or you're going to hate it. While the sharks fill up on the appetizer, the other 2 safely make their ascent. Once back on the boat, Naomi goes to call the authorities to report the situation. But while she's on the phone, Jose pulls a gun on her. He smashes the phone and tells her that they are coke smugglers, and although they're grateful that she saved their lives, she is now their hostage. They want her to get suited up again because she's going to assist Jose in collecting their product down under. They throw her into a room to get suited up when she finds another phone and contacts Jackson. Jose hears her on the phone, so he grabs it and throws it into the ocean. Unfortunately, Naomi couldn't explain the situation to Jackson. However, she was able to inform him that she needed help. Back in Grendel, we see Jackson steal a boat and drive through the night to see if his lady is okay.
Your boyfriend drove through the night because he thought you might be in trouble.
Damn, Chuck Bass really has grown. He would have never done this for Blair. Jose and Naomi go down to collect the product, and while they're collecting it, something caught my eye. Firstly, when they open the trap door, a corpse floats out and continues to float to the surface. Secondly, when they remove the barrel with the product, it is covered with dead fish as a means to hide the coke. I appreciated these two events because they made the movie feel very rooted in reality. I don't think I've ever seen a corpse float in a shark horror movie, which is silly because in real life a corpse would float. I also appreciated that they filled the barrel with fish to hide the product because it adds to the continuity that they are smugglers and makes it feel rooted in reality. Naomi and Jose finish collecting the product, and as they begin ascending back to the boat, one of the sharks makes a jump for Naomi. She panics and uses the coke as a barrier. The shark bites into the coke, and we have a sequel to Cocaine Bear. It's titled Cocaine Shark. The shark, preoccupied with his fix, gives Naomi a chance to escape, and she safely makes it to the boat. Once Naomi has calmed down, she tells us that the deceased crew members had bullet wounds, meaning they did not pass during an explosion. Instead, they were offed by Maria and Jose. Maria then comes clean and tells us that they were forced to off them because the crew tried to steal the product. I bring this up because it introduces a very interesting dynamic to the movie. Deep Fear pulls a classic DC move and creates complicated villains. Although they're the antagonists of the movie and we don't root for them, on some level we understand why they're doing what they're doing and feel sympathy towards them. Jose and Maria have a private conversation where they discuss their plans forward. This was supposed to be their last smuggle before they retire from the trade and set up a legitimate business. However, they acknowledge that they'll never escape the trade because the Kingpin knows who and where their family is. It explains the urgency behind gathering their product because if they don't successfully deliver, their family's lives are at stake. I'm not saying that what they did is right or that they're even redeemable, but it explains their actions. The next morning, Jackson arrives at Naomi's rescue, but once he boards the boat, Jose pulls a gun on him and they tie him up. I guess it's the thought that counts, Jackson. Naomi and Jose then hop into the water to go retrieve the product that Naomi dropped yesterday. Once they have regathered all of the bricks, Jose grabs a metal rod and smashes it into Naomi's head, knocking her out. He then throws her into one of the rooms of the boat and slams the door shut. Can you imagine her situation? You wake up with a deadly headache in the cold, lonely depths of the ocean, and you're surrounded by tons of hungry sharks. This is why I stay away from boats and the motion sickness. While Naomi is knocked out, she has another nightmare regarding her family and their passing. In the dream, her father gives a very sweet pep talk.
I'm always going to be with you, Naomi. You can't give up now.
I'll touch more on the scene in a little bit, but it alludes to the deeper meaning of the movie. Naomi eventually wakes up and comes up with a plan to get out of her predicament. She takes off her oxygen mask, ties it to a flotation device, and sets it off so that it floats towards Jose, who is in the process of escaping. Before Naomi lets her device float, she says,
"Follow the bubbles,"
which alludes to a line she said at the beginning of the movie.
And he really loved the bubbles.
The sharks begin following the bubbles and Naomi makes a break for it. She hides behind Jackson's boat while Maria watches the sharks tear apart her brother. This is the scene that the entire movie has been building towards. We finally get to see the school of sharks in action, and it is well worth the wait. It scratches that itch that the movie created. Jackson manages to free his restraints and sends Maria into the water with her brother. He then helps Naomi onto the main boat and she proposes to him. I know this seems random, but it's a pretty big deal for the movie. Throughout the movie, Naomi is painted as a damaged character. Due to her parents' passing, she is plagued by daily nightmares, but more importantly, she is unable to commit to her boyfriend due to a fear of abandonment. Hence, her father and family abandoned her. We see this at the beginning of the movie when she refuses to move in with him
I need to put a deposit down on that apartment we looked at.
I still need to think about it.
and discusses her inability to marry him with a friend. Then, during her underwater nap, her father tells her that he is always with her, which is further alluded to by the storm the night before. It is almost as if her father is the storm watching over her. Her father's pep talk allows her to overcome her situation and set herself free from not only her trauma, but also her capturers. This healing is physically manifested by her proposal to Jackson. After the proposal, Maria comes back for a fake-out ending. She tries to strangle Naomi, but Jackson redeems himself and saves the day by shooting a flare into her heart. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and for me to reach my goals. Deep Fear is not the best shark horror movie ever made. However, it is the best we have gotten this year. It has an engaging story, great cinematography and CGI. However, the movie does get a little boring and the deeper message is poorly done. I would give the movie 6 Rotten Damians out of 10. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next week.